On Saturday, January 6, 2007, Christian and Newsom planned to go out for dinner together and then attend a friend's party. That afternoon, Christian went to a friend's apartment to get ready. At around 8:00 p.m., Christian's friend went to the party and Christian stayed behind and waited for Newsom to pick her up. Newsom arrived and he and Christian went to the apartment complex parking lot. The assailants observed Christian and Newsom standing close to Christian's vehicle in an embrace. They then decided to attack the couple. Both were forced into the backseat of Christian's SUV at gunpoint, had their hands tied behind their backs, and were taken to Davidson's house at 2316 Chipman Street. Both Christian and Newsom were raped. Newsom is believed to have been raped inside Davidson's house. According to the testimony of the Knox County acting medical examiner, Newsom was sodomized with an object and raped by a minimum of one of the perpetrators. He was then taken to a set of railroad tracks where he was forced to walk barefoot to the location where he was murdered. Prosecutors believe a mangled dog leash found on a hillside leading up to the railroad tracks was used to force Newsom to walk to his death. When Newsom was murdered, his hands were bound behind his back and his feet were bound together. He was blindfolded with a bandana and gagged with a sock. He wore only a shirt and underwear. Newsom was shot in his neck and the back. Newsom was still alive, and after a while they shot him in the back of his head. The fatal shot was fired with the muzzle of the gun against his head above his right ear and it severed his brainstem. After killing Newsom, the assailants set his body on fire. Christian was held prisoner inside Davidson's house, mostly in the north bedroom. Prosecutors believe that Coleman held Christian captive while the male offenders were murdering Newsom. After murdering Newsom, the assailants returned to Davidson's house where they beat and repeatedly raped Christian. The medical examiner testified that Christian died after hours of sexual torture, sustaining severe head injuries and suffering severe injuries to her vagina, anus, and mouth due to sexual assaults. Her injuries were consistent with being raped with an object. According to the medical examiner, the sexual attack Christian endured was extreme and much more than a simple sexual assault. Prosecutors believe that Christian was tied to a chair and orally raped by Davidson and Cobbins. Christian was also anally and vaginally raped. She was also beaten and kicked in her vagina and beaten on the head. Christian suffered extensive hemorrhaging to her head and vaginal area. Additionally, Christian suffered bruises and carpet burns on much of her body. According to Davidson's confession, during Christian's captivity, she said she didn't want to die. Before killing her in an effort to remove DNA evidence, Christian's attackers poured bleach down her throat and scrubbed her body, including her bleeding and battered genital area with it. Christian was bound in a hog-tied fashion with curtains and strips of bedding. Her face was tightly covered with a small trash bag and her body was stashed in 5 large trash bags. Christian, who was naked except for her camisole and sweater, was tied in a fetal position and placed inside a residential waste disposal unit, and covered with sheets. The medical examiner testified at trial that there was evidence that Christian slowly suffocated to death. Christian died between the afternoon of January 7 and the afternoon of January 8. As Christian was suffocating to death, Davidson left to spend time with his girlfriend and gave her Christian's personal items. Davidson also used Newsom's cell phone and was seen wearing Newsom's shoes. After Christian and Newsom did not show up at the party, the couple's friends began calling and texting them and received no response. Later, at around 11:00 p.m., 2 of Newsom's friends went to the apartment from where the couple had been kidnapped and found Newsom's truck in the parking lot. They were unable to locate Christian's SUV. A witness, who worked as a driver for Waste Connections, arrived at work on Chipman Street at around 12:30 am on January 7. He noticed that the lights in 2316 Chipman Street were on and that the house seemed busy for the time of night. He saw a 4Runner in front of the house with its porch lights on. The witness later observed the 4Runner drive slowly by him. The car slowed down for about 20 seconds as if the occupants were checking him out. He saw 4 black men in the car. Another witness who lived around 1 block from 2316 Chipman Street heard 3 pops from the direction of the train tracks at about 1:45 am. Newsom's body was discovered near a set of nearby railroad tracks on January 7 at 12:20 p.m. by a Norfolk Southern Railroad employee. Though there was semen inside of Newsom's body, DNA in the semen had been destroyed by the fire. A comforter was wrapped around Newsom's body and a sweatshirt was wrapped around his head. His bare and muddy feet indicated that he had walked barefoot to the area where he was killed. On January 7, Christian failed to answer calls from her mother and friend. Christian also did not attend work. The couple's friends and families tried to find them, checking local hospitals and filing missing person reports. Christian's parents requested help from law enforcement. but were told that they would have to search themselves. They then sought help from Christian's mobile phone provider and learned that her phone had last pinged at a Cherry Street phone tower. Christian and Newsom's families and friends searched the Cherry Street area and found Christian's abandoned Toyota 4Runner. Between 1:30 am and 2:00 am on Monday, January 8, several items were missing from Christian's vehicle, including a teddy bear and photographs Christian kept there, as well as her phone charger and iPod. The front seats were pushed all the way back where Christian could not have reached the pedals. The floorboard was covered with mud, which was inconsistent with how Christian maintained her vehicle. Stickers Christian kept on the outside windows had been removed. Inside the vehicle was a pack of Newport cigarettes, even though neither Christian nor Newsom smoked them. Police also recovered an envelope from the vehicle that yielded fingerprint evidence leading them to Lamarcus Davidson of 2316 Chipman Street, an address 2 blocks from Christian's car. When police went to 2316 Chipman Street on Tuesday, January 9, they found the house unoccupied and Christian's body in a trash can in the kitchen. Christian's body was stashed in 5 large trash bags. The bags had Davidson's prints. Davidson's prints were also found on a box of garbage bags. Davidson's sperm was found in Christian's vagina and anus while Cobbin's sperm was found in her mouth. Also inside the house were several items that belonged to Christian and Newsom, including Christian's purse, clothing she had in her vehicle, Christian's shoes, camera, photographs, which were ripped and burned, an iPod and Newsom's baseball caps and driver's license. Several of the victims' belongings had Davidson's prints. The items from Christian's SUV were shoved into trash bags. In addition to the sperm found on Christian's body, Davidson's sperm was found on Christian's jeans while Cobbin's sperm was found on her camisole, sweater, and jeans. Shell casings found at Davidson's house matched the bullets used to kill Newsom. After finding Christian's body and discovering the presence of Davidson's semen on her clothing and in her body cavities, police undertook a manhunt for Davidson. After learning of phone calls between Davidson and Boyd, they asked Boyd for information regarding Davidson's whereabouts. Boyd directed them to a vacant house. On January 11, Davidson was arrested in the vacant house. There, police found Newsom size 9.5 Nike Shox athletic shoes and a .22 caliber high-standard revolver. Davidson was then interrogated about the murders. He told 5 different stories, first claiming that he had left the house on Friday and knew nothing of the crimes. He later told police that Cobbins and Thomas arrived at his house at around 10:00 p.m. on Friday or Saturday and informed him that they had carjacked some people who were in the vehicle. Davidson claimed he saw the victims tied up in the back seat and did not want any part of it and left to smoke marijuana. He said that he returned to the house about 20 minutes later to find Christian, who told him she did not want to die. He then used Christian's vehicle to deal drugs and wiped it clean. Davidson claimed that he did not go past the living room and that he never raped Christian. On January 11, Thomas, Cobbins, and Coleman were arrested in Lebanon, Kentucky. Police seized a computer on which Thomas and Cobbins had been viewing news coverage of the murders. Police also seized a purse that contained several of Christian's belongings, including her cosmetic bag and change purse. Additionally, police found Christian's overnight bag. Cobbins gave a statement to investigators claiming that he, Davidson, and Boyd drove to an apartment complex for someone to meet a girl. When they arrived, they saw an SUV with a female in the driver's seat. She was speaking to a male. Davidson and Boyd basically carjacked them and ordered Cobbins to drive back to Chipman Street. According to Cobbins, once they arrived at the residence, Davidson took the woman into a bedroom and Boyd drove away with the man. Boyd later returned without the male victim. Cobbins denied having any sexual intercourse with the female victim. Coleman admitted to being present in the house during the crimes, claiming that she had been held hostage by the other defendants. A journal was recovered after the arrests of Thomas, Cobbins, and Coleman. An entry from January 9 read, "Last night was one of a kind. We stayed with a crackhead that is cool as hell. It snowed a little bit but it's already melted. Let's talk about adventures. I had one hell of an adventure since they've been in the big TNT/SA crazy world these days. But I love the fun adventures lessons that they learned. It's going to be a long interesting year." A forensic document examiner verified that the handwriting in the entry matched Coleman's handwriting. George Giovanni, Detroit, Thomas. Born January 23, 1983, faced a total of 46 charges. Thomas was indicted on 16 counts of felony murder related to the rape, robbery, and kidnapping committed against Christian and Newsom, 2 counts of premeditated murder, 2 counts of especially aggravated robbery, 4 counts of especially aggravated kidnapping, 20 counts of aggravated rape, and 2 counts of theft. Latalvis Darnell, Rome, Cobbins. born December 20, 1982, faced the same 46 charges as Thomas. He was also charged with assaulting a correctional officer while incarcerated pending trial. In 2003, Cobbins had been convicted of third-degree attempted robbery in New York. He and Davidson are half-brothers. Lamarcus Duvall, Slim, Davidson, born June 13, 1981, faced the same 46 charges as Thomas. Davidson was originally from Memphis and had just, in August 2006, completed a 5-year sentence in Tennessee on a previous felony conviction for carjacking and aggravated robbery. Davidson was also indicted for a second robbery which was committed at a Pizza Hut 1 day after the murders. Vanessa Lynn Coleman, born June 29, 1988, was arrested by the Lebanon Police Department in her hometown of Lebanon, Kentucky. She faced 40 Tennessee state charges. Coleman was indicted on 12 counts of felony murder related to rape, robbery, kidnapping, and theft, 1 count of premeditated murder, of Christian only, 1 count of especially aggravated robbery, of Newsom only, 4 counts of especially aggravated kidnapping, 20 counts of aggravated rape, and 2 counts of theft. Eric Dwayne E. Boyd, born February 18, 1972, was arrested in connection with the fatal carjacking. He was not indicted by the Knox County Grand Jury in 2007, but was indicted by a federal grand jury in the Eastern District of Tennessee. On August 23, 2007, the grand jury returned a superseding indictment charging him with being an accessory to a carjacking, resulting in serious bodily injury to another person, and misprision of a felony. Later, Boyd was accused by Thomas and Cobbins of the rape and murder of Newsom and a search warrant was obtained for his DNA. He was tried on state charges more than a decade later in 2019.